Now let's look at who's been running this country since World War II. And they have some involvement in all of these. What is the link? What do cars have to do with books, you might ask? The Trilateral Commission with the Council on Foreign Relations, you ever hear of them? Well, neither did I, until I noticed the chain of coincidence. They have members on the boards of all the largest corporations. Not one detail has been left out. Am I right? Do you feel it?
Yes.
Do you know what Bobby Ray Inman was doing before he was running the Microelectronics and the Computer Tech Corporation? Well, guess. A CIA director. It's public knowledge. Do you run out of Kleenex, paper towels, and toilet paper at the same time? You know it's true.
It's all true.
You remember how Governor White campaigned to get the MCC here. Do you know what their goal is? Well, Elvis did. Artificial intelligence? Robots. Oh, they'd like that, wouldn't they? Yes, sir. Sleep, sleep. 1 and 1 is not equal to. No, sir. No, sir. Silicon Gulch, Silicon Prairie, Silicon Hills, Silicon Valley. You better wake up. It's late. It's late.
Welcome to the Foreign Press. First of all, I just want to say I'm alive, and you're all witnesses. And now that I dispatched this piece of fake news, I want to give you an update on Operation Roaring Lion.
Oh no!
What's wrong, Pooh?
A family of Tiggers is moving in.
Dang, Tigger, that's a nice-ass neighborhood. Fancy-ass Tigger. How you afford all this, Tigger? You been moving them bricks?
I told you, Tigger, I ain't no broke-ass Tigger. A Tigger been making moves on the stock market.
Oh, all right, Tigger, all right. We got a studious-ass Tigger. A financially literate-ass Tigger. The Dow Jones just dropped 500 points-ass Tigger. What's the problem, Pooh?
What's the problem? Those Tiggers are nothing but trouble. Always obnoxiously loud and stealing my honey.
Hey, yo, Tigger, come check out this sad-ass Tigger.
Hey, what you so sad for, Tigger? You want some pussy, Tigger?
Yeah, the world ain't what it seems, is it, Gunny?
No, sir.
You keep that in mind. The moment you think you got it figured, you're wrong.
Excuse me. I don't mean to impose, but I am the ocean.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do
Available.
and homelessness and all that. And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds fucking retarded.
Okay, so I've got to start with this because there is way too much weirdness here for this shit not to be connected. Firstly, I gotta give credit to Dark Journalist for putting me onto this story, or stories, and some of the connections between them. He was the first person I heard about this retired Air Force general disappearing from. This guy was a retired general who had headed Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is deeply tied into the Roswell, New Mexico crash in '47 and supposedly the materials, a lot of them got sent there. He was also the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Kirtland Air Force Base, and he had been mentioned in the WikiLeaks email releases 10 years ago. in an email to John Podesta from Tom DeLonge, the singer from Blink-182 who became a UFO researcher, saying that, yo, this guy is kind of helping me out on the down low. So when Trump signed that executive order on releasing UFO info, and then 3 days later, this guy literally vanishes, leaving behind his phone, his keys, his wallet. He's just gone.
That's suspicious.
So the seemingly obvious conclusion I drew was that this guy could have been a thorn in the side of the CIA-approved UFO narrative that they're going to try to shove down our throats later this year. But that doesn't quite explain this. See, back last June, a research assistant that worked with this guy also vanished from the face of the fucking earth. While she was out hiking with friends of hers, they're like 50 feet ahead of her, and all of a sudden they turn back and she's gone. And they never found her, never even found a trace.
That's weird.
Then you learn that 4 days before she disappeared, another researcher from Los Alamos goes missing, last seen on video camera walking down the street before she just completely vanishes without a trace. And she was somebody who also was connected to General McCaslin through her work. So that's 3 people connected to the Air Force Research Laboratory that just completely vanish. There was also this Caltech astrophysicist that 5 weeks ago I mentioned had been murdered on the porch of his house, and I wondered if that had any connection to the plasma physicist from MIT that got murdered at the entryway to his house back at the end of last year. Because both stories were sort of equally nonsensical. You had this MIT physicist who, a guy that knew him from a university in Portugal 20 fucking years ago, decides, oh, I'm just gonna go kill this guy, after deciding to just randomly shoot up Brown University the day before. Then he drives across state lines to a self-storage unit in New Hampshire and kills himself.
Right.
And then this astrophysicist from Caltech, well, he supposedly gets shot on his front porch during an attempted carjacking in the middle of fucking nowhere. This astrophysicist, by the way, was working with the Spitzer Space Telescope, which was also overseen by who? The Air Force Research Laboratory. And one thing I haven't heard mentioned by Dark Journalist, which maybe he has mentioned it and I just didn't catch that part, was it was reported that at the time of his death, this astrophysicist had been studying comets and asteroids that could pose a hazard to Earth.
Yeah, that's not troubling at all.
I heard DJ talking about how he was studying distant planets and finding water on them, and true, that's how he gained status in his field, but I can't help but wonder, and this is me just thinking out loud here, is it possible this has something to do with that comet that is headed towards the sun? Most sources are reporting this as a sun grazer, or a comet that goes very close to the sun. Maybe it'll break up, maybe it won't. But I saw this video that BP Earthwatch did talking about how this thing is headed straight for the sun, and that the numbers they gave for the distance from the sun at its closest point, well, they're measuring that distance from the center of the sun, not the outer edge of it, and that the distance they're saying it's going to pass by the sun will actually put it in the sun. And that while comets and other shit have directly impacted the sun, this would be the largest object on record. So I don't know, could that shit be related? Might have this MIT genius plasma physicist had something to say about the possibilities of what could happen if something that large hits the sun? I don't know. Again, I'm just thinking out loud here. If anybody has any additional info or theories, thoughts, concerns regarding this, please let me know down in the comments. There was also this clip that was widely circulating talking about a prediction made all the way back in 2012.
And I put this in writing to the Pentagon in 2012 when I told this. Okay?
2012?
One thing she told me was, when you see Iran and Israel exchanging missiles, and I saw it, the way she tells me is a vision of, I see it like a living picture screen. I could see the rockets flying. Then all of a sudden, orbs appeared out of the ocean and everywhere.
Great.
And I told the government, if this happens, the orbs are going to appear and wake people up and stop it. That's what she told me.
April 2026.
Yeah.
And okay, you know you've put yourself in it there, Chris.
It's okay. It's okay.
There's going to be Chris Bledsoe says April 2026 is when it all happens.
But I can tell you this: when I told this to the government about 2026, I just repeated what she told me. They immediately put remote viewers on. And all of a sudden, all the remote viewers are saying, oh my God, 2026, 2027, something is going to happen.
2026, Easter. What will happen?
The star will, the alignment she told me about, that the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, but these astronomers run it through the machines, and it comes out that that star is going to come up on the horizon in Easter of 2026.
Easter of 2026.
I gave him the specific time. And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all, and he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby. This little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the star of Regulus. He looks at it, he's like, oh my God, it's the King star. So, what's going to happen, I don't know. But I think it's possible that's the return of
Christ.
Yeah.
And did I mention that this comet that may or may not impact the sun, well, that's supposed to happen the day before Easter, this Saturday the 4th. Now, am I saying that this for sure means that something insane is going to end up happening this weekend? No.
But it is interesting.
Also, coincidentally, the day after Easter is the expiration of the time limit of Trump's latest ultimatum that he's pushed back twice. First he said, we're going to give you 48 hours, then 5 days, and then until April 6th. And I gotta say, it sure was interesting watching the back and forth between Trump saying that, oh, well, we're going to give them an extra 5 days because we've been having very productive talks. And then the Iranians saying,
it never happened.
And then Trump says, oh, well, the people that we're talking to, they might be afraid of getting killed by their own people, for negotiating with us. And oh, by the way, they give us a little present, a fucking prize.
Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related, and it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Because, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone, as the expression goes, the past supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader was racked up, at a minimum racked up pretty good, and everyone else was gone. And then many of the people in the third tier are gone. But we're dealing with a group of people that I think turn out. And the present, the gift they made to us was very significant. And they said they were going to do it, and it happened. And they're the only ones that could have done it.
Yeah, it couldn't be anybody else. It absolutely couldn't be somebody who seized an Iranian ship and is pretending that they're delivering it to you, because the Iranian foreign minister was still saying,
it's fiction. It's a made-up tale.
You might want to check with these Iranians that you're negotiating with and see whether or not they happen to be circumcised. You should ask for some kind of proof of foreskin. And Trump is still acting like, oh, obviously they want to negotiate with us. And their fucking foreign minister, the equivalent of the Secretary of State, he's saying,
not this time.
And this is in response to Trump literally and directly threatening to attack their power grid.
Well, we're waiting.
And they're saying that, yeah, if you take down our power grid, we're taking down the power grid of basically everybody in the neighborhood. Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia. Anybody really still think they're bluffing?
Hello, anybody home? Think, McFly. Think.
I really can't see any kind of strategic reason for why they would be bluffing and bullshitting at this point. But I do think there are several possibilities as to what's actually been going on there. It is possible that they have been negotiating with somebody in Iran, maybe some lower-ranking person in the government trying to back-channel a deal. It's possible. If so, they probably will get killed by their own people as soon as they figure it out. It's also possible that Trump believes that he's negotiating with an Iranian when it's really a fucking Mossad operative. And they've got him so insulated and are just stringing him along, making him think that, oh, we're so close to the end now, sir, we just need to see it through. When in reality, every day that this shit continues, it gets harder and harder to pull back. And of course, there's also the possibility that Trump is pretending to negotiate with somebody, just trying to keep the oil markets calm for now, until he can get the assets in place to actually do something as stupid as a ground invasion. Which to me seems doubly stupid, because what fucking difference does it make, because oil prices are gonna go para-fucking-bolic as soon as any boots actually hit the ground in any meaningful numbers. It turns out the Iranians didn't even need nukes to have a Samson option of their own. Like it or not, the Iranian people have rallied around the idea that this is an existential threat for them as a country. And by lashing out at the oil and gas infrastructure of the Gulf Coast countries after their oil and gas infrastructure was hit, there's already basically a global recession baked into the cake. Some people are still lying or in denial about that. And the more of these facilities that get targeted, the worse the long-term ramifications are going to be.
Humans have a term for this. Bad luck and raw deal. And this is some bullshit.
Something else the Iranians are threatening to do is cut some of the undersea fiber optic cables that make up the backbone of the internet. And if they start doing that, you won't even have to wait to see the ramifications. And they want it to look like we've just blindly and stupidly stumbled into this situation, when I guarantee you the highest levels of the Pentagon, intelligentsia, foundations, and think tanks all knew this would happen. I think this is being done very deliberately to pull the trigger on the Great Reset and the 2030 agenda. You remember that? The World Economic fuckheads? Well, what if the coup was just a dry run, a dress rehearsal, something to see how populations reacted, how supply chains reacted, maybe set up a little of the lockdown infrastructure? I mean, what do you think, these people just went away? Or are they looking for another opportunity to reimagine and reset our world? One thing the coup exposed was just how vulnerable to interruption our supply chains can be. For decades, everything got so streamlined, and in order to save on money, everything was made as efficient as possible, at the expense of resiliency, redundancy, durability, all the things that would make us better able to handle a crisis. Well, that was all sacrificed at the altar of efficiency. I just think it's probably pretty important to note that we are being taken to a very specific place for a very specific reason. While we're easily distracted by focusing on the minutiae and the details, and who's a rhino and who's a panikin, who's a Fed, who's a Mossad agent, this whole situation is far too gay and retarded not to be a scripted plotline. And last week I had mentioned how disappointed I was in Tulsi Gabbard's testimony, but I was still trying to be understanding about the predicament she's in. Because what else was she gonna do? Resign in protest like Joe Kent, seeing the way he was immediately written off and, oh, now we've got an FBI investigation into him. So if she was trying to remain in a position where as this gets worse and worse, maybe it would provide an opportunity to still be in a position to have Trump's ear, where she might be the only person left in that inner circle that isn't a war pig. And judging from the whisper campaign against her that's growing louder and louder, I think that's exactly what's happening.
Multiple people around the same time, last fall, I don't remember the exact date, that Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence, and she was Joe Kent's boss as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, he worked under Tulsi Gabbard. I was told by numerous people who are very much part of the conservative ecosystem in D.C., these are well-sourced people, strong connections to the White House, they told me to be strongly on the lookout for Tulsi Gabbard and her office. They basically said that Tulsi Gabbard is running something of a shadow operation from her office, that she is personally, I was told this, I've met Tulsi, I don't know her well. I was told she's personally actually very anti-Semitic, and that she is heavily involved in a lot of the anti-Semitic influencer operations, and that she is potentially involved when it comes to trying to feed some of these narratives there.
That's garbage. So he was told last fall that she's personally very anti-Semitic, but of course didn't breathe a word of it till now. and that she's deeply involved with the anti-Semitic influencer operations. And that's literally all it takes nowadays, is to be against this war and pointing out that which is self-evident, that this is Israel's war. And that's pretty much all it takes for you to be seen as a white supremacist in the eyes of Count Cocula here.
I got something to show you, Bert.
What is it? Is it titties?
Nope, a flashbang.
And now, the weekly flashbang.
Islam has also been, it came into existence in the 600s and the 7th century. It was very possibly, or probably, created by Jews as an instrument against Christendom. And then, sure enough, the Arabs swept through North Africa and destroyed a whole part of Christianity in North Africa. They swept into Spain, thanks to the help of the Jews. It's well known that the Jews opened the cities to the Mohammedans. They took over Spain, and it took hundreds of years to get rid of them again, to get them back out. They went up into France until they got beaten at the Battle of Poitiers in 732. And again and again in European history, the Saracens, the Turks, the Arabs, the Muslims, there's various names for them, they've kept trying to get into, they're enemies of Christendom, they're enemies of Christian Europe, and they've tried to get into Europe again and again, and the Jews will each time, most likely, the Jews will have helped them, will have organized it, will have financed it. That's exactly what we see this time. Is George Soros, who's been financing the Arab invasion. They've been organizing, and you have that famous clip on TV of Barbara Spector, the Swedish Jewess. It's a very famous clip, with good reason. And she's apparently ignorant of what she's saying. She says, we Jews need to organize the invasion of Europe by non-Christians so that Europe will become multicultural. Multiculti is an invention of the Jews, surely. And therefore, and that will act to dissolve the identity and vestigial Christianity of the once Christian nations.
Well, that is an interesting theory. But I suppose at this point, the question isn't whether Islam was created deliberately as a weapon to be used against Christianity. The question is, if that were the case, would it look any different? And now we've got Scary Larry out here predicting a massive Islamic terror attack, something likely to be 10 times worse than 9/11, and it's going to trace right back to the woke Reich in some way? You mean the people that don't want us to go to war with Iran? They're going to be somehow tied to a massive terror attack that would be used to massively expand this into an all-out war that they don't want to happen? The little ultimatum that Trump gave and later pushed back again is now going to expire the day after Easter. And while we were having these productive talks, we were supposed to stop attacking their infrastructure, but Israel's gone right on ahead and kept on bombing them anyway. Iran, even though we supposedly have massively devastated their missile and drone supply, is still managing to hit Tel Aviv every fucking day. And at the same time, you got Ukraine launching massive attacks on oil refineries in Leningrad. At this point, it's basically impossible to say exactly how quickly this is going to escalate, but you might as well go ahead and assume that it could be any day now. If you've got some supplies or preps that you've been thinking about shoring up, but you're a procrastinator like me, but there's something that you know taking care of it would massively improve your chances of coming out the other side of a crisis, but then you say, oh, well, I'll get around to it sometime. Well, guess what?
Now's the fucking time!
Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night. night, so say good night to the bad guy. Come on. Come on. Come on. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. I told you, don't fuck with me. 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 You stupid fuck. Look at you now. Look at you now.
The eyes are not here, there are no eyes here in this valley of dying stars, in this hollow valley, this broken jaw of our lost kingdoms. In this last of meeting places we grope together and avoid speech, gathered on this beach of the tumid river, sightless unless the eyes reappear as the perpetual star, multifoliate rose of death's twilight kingdom, the hope only of empty men. Here we go round the prickly pear, prickly pear, prickly pear. Here we go round the prickly pear at 5 o'clock in the morning. Between the idea and the reality, between the motion and the act, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom. Between the conception and the creation, between the emotion and the response, falls the shadow. Life is very long. Between the desire and the spasm, between the potency and the existence, between the essence and the descent, falls the shadow, for thine is the kingdom, for thine is, life is, for thine is thee. This is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang but a whimper.